Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to this week's Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elisheva, and I'm here with Eitan, and today's topic and this week's focus is fear versus faith. It might sound like it's a religious topic. It's not. It's really about the practical day-to-day challenges we have in dealing with our fear of the future, our fear of what we're capable of or not capable of, and the things that drive the insecurity when we think small or limited, and how opening up ourselves to a greater vision, a greater perception, unlimited possibilities can shift us out of fear-based decisions into a reality not only where we experience greater blessings, more possibilities, but also where our inner world is full of greater peace, greater tranquility, and greater certainty in the small steps that we take toward those bigger picture decisions. Weekly Energy Boost is a 7-day spiritual weather forecast where we provide our listeners with the most powerful and practical tools to navigate the coming 7 days. We pick those tools and those teachings from the wisdom of Kabbalah, from our experience in studying, living, and teaching these principles. And every episode offers up timeless tools and wisdom that you can use maybe most powerfully and profoundly this week, but really any week of the year. And as we turn our perspective toward what drives us, the reality is, if we're honest with ourselves, sometimes our decisions are made out of lack and fear rather than growth and expansion. And this is something that the teachings of Kabbalah emphasize seriously and frequently, is that our perception is what creates our reality. And if we perceive there is potential for loss or risk or damage, we actually create that reality. So Eitan, where should we begin this week's conversation?
I would love to start with the story of this portion. That Moses is sending the 12 leaders of the Israelites to check out Israel. And the mission was, are we ready to enter to Israel? We know Kabbalistically, entering to Israel, it's a code for entering to our ultimate unlimited potential, stepping into our unlimited potential. Moses knew, yes, we are ready to enter to Israel. He still sent 12 leaders. 10 of them came with horrible bad report and accusation about Moses, the leader. How can you even send us? And 2 of them saw the good, saw the potential. The Zohar tells us that these 10 people, without even paying attention, had a hidden agenda to make sure that they will see the bad report and they will not enter to Israel, because deep inside they were afraid they're going to lose their job as leaders. If they would enter to Israel, they might be replaced and another leader would be there. So really, when they came back with bad report and reported it to Moses and to Israelites, they believed what they saw was right. But their perception was totally wrong. Why? And that's what we need to ask. Why? What caused them? They were elevated people and still they were blinded because they didn't pay attention to the deeper reason why they saw false picture of reality. Let's look at our own life. You look at opportunities to grow in your life, in relationships, in business, in career, in being purposeful. And it represents going to our next level? Why shouldn't we see and perceive how great the opportunity that comes our way? It's an amazing opportunity. What's causing you and me sometime to see the reality and to tell ourselves, no, it's impossible, it's too difficult, it's too early, I can't do it, maybe another time, let's go slowly. What is the inner reason that's causing us? We need to ask ourselves. And we might think, no, whatever I see, I'm truly objective. Maybe we want to be objective. But are we really clear about maybe potential agendas and fear that drives why we see what we see? And that's what I would love to open, Elisheva. What is some of the fears for these 10 leaders? They were afraid they're not gonna be the leaders anymore. They might lose the respect and the status. So that drove them to see actually how Israel is bad for us. They focused on the bad. They saw what's wrong. Deep inside, they wanted to see what's wrong. What might be some other fears that causing us to perceive reality in a limited way, our potential in a limited way? What would you say, Elisheva?
Well, I think for a lot of us, fear is, we tend to feel our own inadequacy or our own limitations, our own insecurities are stronger than the unlimited power of the light. And what's funny about that, when we step out of that feeling of I'm not good enough, I'm not capable, what if I can't handle it? When we step aside and we observe that line of thinking, we realize how minuscule we are and how we call it reverse ego, right? Some people think they are so powerful, so huge, so forceful that they can change or make the world terrible or good, or they feel that they're the cause, the creator, the most powerful force in the universe. And we look at those people, we say, wow, they're so arrogant. Wow, they're so prideful. Wow, they're so full of themselves. When we're focused on what's wrong with us, what we can't do, what we might not be able to handle, it's the same level of self-focus, but inverted. And when we look at our own smallness, we disconnect and detach from the reality that we aren't alone. We aren't a small piece of the puzzle alone in the wilderness. We are a part of and intrinsically connected to the light of the Creator. Not only that, but the more that we realize it, and I think this goes back to what you said before about the perception, right? That when we believe our thoughts, it changes how we view what's going on. So if I see myself as small and not part of the light of the Creator, I literally take myself out of the circle of blessings, the boundary of where the light of the Creator is moving things forward. And I make myself, in a way, what I'm afraid of, an independent contractor, that it's all up to me and it depends on me. And because I'm small and so insignificant, I can't do it. The reality is that when we choose to see, and I think that the Kabbalists say it so beautifully, it's really not to see what we don't see or to look at what's in our blind spot. It's simply the recognition that I have no idea what's possible. One of the things we even meditate on in the window in time that we call Rosh Hashanah, the beginning of the new year and the renewal of energy for all humanity, is we ask for the energy, the light, the strength, the blessings for the person we will become. And we have no idea who that person is or how powerful or how expansive we can be. So we ask for unlimited blessings, not only the blessings that we know we can see that we need right now. So I believe part of what this week is asking us to do, and it's not a coincidence that this portion is always going to fall in this period where also the energy of Gemini is to move quickly and beyond boundaries, beyond limitations, right? To break through barriers and think different, think outside of the box. How can you take your own personal perceptions of your limitations, of your smallness, of your lacks, and shift them into, this might be what I see right now, this might be what I'm experiencing right now, but I know that there is something greater, not because of my skills and my knowledge and my experience, but because I am connected to the infinite force of the light of the Creator. And the moment I think it even just once, I create a hole in that bubble that causes me to perceive I'm alone and I'm limited and I'm lacking, and I begin to let the light in to experience a different reality.
Beautiful. So to break it down, I think, especially this week, when you're facing life, you're facing situations, you're facing possibilities, inject that intention. First, the Creator, I know I'm very often blind to see the potential with what you want to do through me. And please, I'm willing to nullify my limited perception, my limited desire, and to align to your bigger picture plan. Then the Zohar tells us something important, saying, if you are making maximum effort and your heart is open not to judge yourself and not to judge the possibilities, because the fact that we judge ourselves and what is capable to be manifested through us is because we're trying to protect ourselves from being hurt in one way or another. We're afraid to get hurt. We're afraid to get rejected. We're afraid to fail. So maximum effort, an open heart to trust that the Creator will provide, will allow something so much bigger than me to take over. And I want really to make sure, before making any decision, is there or are there any subconscious decision that I'm telling myself I can't, I don't want to do it, that might be too difficult, I have no control over the future if I'm going to embark in this path, it will be too painful. I need to identify, because all of us have this agenda-oriented small thinking. To be safe is to be small. To connect only to the vision that I see is to be small. So I need to identify this small vision and this little small desire in me. Oh, I just want that. I want to maintain safety, protection. I'm afraid, and I need to recognize it as I please the Creator. Allow me to let go of this decision to think small. The fact there is an unknown factor in me moving forward, it's one of the indications you are with the light. The fact that I don't see how great the possibilities, the fact that I have fear and moving forward, entering me to a risk factor, that's indication that actually I'm permitting my soul to be led by the Creator and not letting my mind and my ego protect me by being small. Being small will cause me to feel I'm missing out in something.
It's interesting because part of the story, and I think a big lesson for us as well, is that those 10 individuals who came back with a different perception of reality, we call their report a false report. what they in a way, they imagined reality different than it actually was to support their own fears and worries and agenda. And I wonder how many of us, without realizing it, are affected by that same condition. That because we're worried about something, or because we are afraid to lose out, or to become useless, pointless, not necessary anymore, not needed, not belonging, we perceive what's going on in a way that supports what we want to happen. So, I mean, I can think of many different examples, maybe even in work. I know that technology is moving really fast, and there's a lot of, I had a conversation with a student this week. I also had conversations with colleagues in the past about how, right, what's happening with AI is scary. And what if we're no longer needed? There's a lot of industries that are genuinely at risk for human manpower no longer being necessary. So because, and that's in a way, a modern day version of the story that's in the portion of this week is, what if what if this technology becomes so intrinsic, so essential that human beings are no longer needed? And because of that worry, the perception of the technology is it's evil, it's bad, it's dangerous, it's risky. When other people who are not worried about losing their position or not concerned with their value being dismissed or no longer valuable, they're looking at how much more efficient it can make us, how much more time it can free for us, how much more powerful we can be if we can delegate some of our work to, what do they call it? Machine learning. I don't know what the exact right way to call it is, but that same scenario is taking place in modern times. And I think even if you're not in that position, you're not worried about losing your job or your industry becoming obsolete. I think it even happens to us as parents. When our kids get older, we worry they're not going to need us anymore. So we might even create situations where there is a dependence. And this is an unconscious move, right? I don't think that those leaders who went into Israel thousands of years ago said, guys, how can we create a story so that we can make sure that we don't lose our jobs? This is a subconscious process where fear skews our perception, and therefore we create a story. So even as parents, we might unconsciously fear losing our value to our kids, losing their need for us, and create an unnecessary dependence on us where they need to come to us for advice, for money, for resources, whatever it is, in order to keep our value high. So I think it's an opportunity for all of us this week. And if I know anything about these teachings, many of us are going through that exact experience right now. What if I become obsolete? What if I'm no longer needed or wanted or loved or significant? And check ourselves how those fears are misconstruing our own perception of what's possible. Because, many times and again, I believe we all agree with, every door that closes, another door opens, right? If we really believed that, we wouldn't worry about losing the position or the necessity or the value, because the moment one responsibility or one project falls away, another one, maybe even 2 or 3 or 10, can open up. So it's balancing that. I know my intrinsic value. I know I'm connected to the light of the Creator. I know possibilities are infinite. And sometimes by holding on too hard to what I know and what's familiar and what works for me, we're preventing ourselves from experiencing even greater unlimited reality.
Beautiful. I think for me, one of the main tools to question where I'm at is what the Rav Berg spoke about. Because it's interesting, in the story of these 10 leaders, in one place they're called tourists, and in another place they're called spies. And the Rav Berg used to say, question yourself, are you a tourist the way you look at situations and yourself in life, or you a spy? When you're a tourist, you're looking for expansion. You're looking for growth. You're looking for what's right, what's possible. You're looking at when you're a tourist, when you're a spy, you get rewarded and acknowledged by seeing what's wrong, by seeing what's bad. And that's a question we need to ask ourselves. When you look at life, when you look at other people, am I a tourist or am I a spy? Am I focused now with my consciousness, with my open mind? Am I focused to what's wrong with the situation? Am I focused of how can I protect myself from a problem? Or am I focused, how can I expand and grow? And as you said, Elisheva, worrying about me not having value is because we perceive ourselves with such a small picture perception of reality. Our soul is divine, was created by the Creator, which has consciousness to give and to channel that no AI and no technology can create. As long as I remember who is the one that created me and who is the one that sent me to this world, then I'm realizing I am a messenger of something huge. Wherever you're a messenger of, that becomes your energy. If you're a messenger of your own ego or your own story of how limited you are, that's who you would be. So be a tourist and be a messenger of the endless force.
I have a feeling that as people are listening to us have this conversation, the question that comes up is, what about those decisions in the past that I made out of fear? What about the moves that I made because I wanted to keep my job or my value or my position? Is there anything we can do to create greater light around the decisions that we made in the past that were rooted in fear?
I think Kabbalistically, past mistakes are manifest itself in present situations in our life. So instead of worry so much about past mistakes and it's done and my life is limited, see how those mistakes or those tests to make the mistake again or not manifest itself in your life today. You realize, let's say, that you stayed in relationship for the wrong reason, because you didn't want to be alone. And eventually that particular relationship ended up with chaos and pain, and you realize you made that mistakes, and you look into your life but where in your life today you're making decisions based on comfort and not based on desire for expansion and connecting to your potential? Where is the decision that will allow you today, in this very moment, to step into the unknown and trust, instead of making decisions from a place of fear and thinking small? So, the past exists in the present. Transforming the present help you to cleanse the past as well.
I think that's one of the most powerful things we've ever shared, because a lot of people allow their past mistakes to define them and to continue to hold them back. And I think that realization that you have, just the way that the universe is designed, is to constantly give us opportunities to correct that, not the situation necessarily, that incident that happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever, but to correct that perception that created the situation. We are given constant opportunities to correct. The universe is so merciful and gentle with us in that sense that we're always going to be given another chance and another chance and another chance until we hit the mark. That's a really powerful thing to remember as we go into this week, because usually those perceptions that we have about loss or fear of risking something, it didn't just start yesterday. It started 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 30 years ago, and we're simply reliving those patterns over and over again. Weekly Energy Boost is available on our podcast platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, where you can follow us to receive more content on everything we share on each episode. You can also visit our website, weeklyenergyboost.com, where you can find our archives, send us a message, and you can click the donate button to support Weekly Energy Boost. But as always, the best way you can support us is to share this episode. And if you haven't already, rate and review. And we'll see you next week on the Weekly Energy Boost.